My name is Jeff Warner. I'm an LA County Master Gardener from the class of 2017, and I recently joined Valerie Burrell and Rachel Searles on the Alternative to Citrus project as the project coordinator. This is an outreach effort to inform the public about the spread of a devastating citrus disease called Huanglongbing and the invasive insect, the Asian citrus psyllid, that spreads the disease. The project is supported by a grant from the CDFA titled Promoting Alternatives to Citrus for Backyard and Community Gardeners in the Fight Against ACP-HLB. The project has three components: an IPM component, where we'll educate the public about the Asian citrus psyllid and Huanglongbing disease; an alternatives fruits component, where we're going to promote alternative non-citrus alternatives for backyard orchards; and a nutrition component where we're going to encourage people to eat more fruits and vegetables as a healthy lifestyle. As a multilingual project, we have handouts and posters in three languages: Spanish, Chinese, and English. The first leg of our three-part project is to spread the word about the Asian citrus psyllid and Huanglongbing. In this section, many of the slides come from Beth Grafton-Cardwell's 2018 PowerPoint presentation, which can be downloaded by following the link. Beth, along with Monique Rivera, are the two ACP-HLB experts advising this project. The psyllid is a small insect about the size of an aphid. It's an invasive insect native to southern China that was first detected in Florida in 1998, and then 10 years later was found for the first time in Southern California. Like aphids, they are often found on the underside of leaves or tucked into new flesh. The psyllid's life cycle takes 2 to 7 weeks to complete, depending on the temperature. The nymphs develop through 5 instars before becoming adults, which typically live for 1 to 2 months. The adults have red eyes. Their wings have a mottled brown pattern, which contains clear areas. And the characteristic that is really unique and makes it easy to distinguish them from all other insects found in citrus is this tilted 45-degree feeding position. The female lays her eggs in new feathery flesh only. This is the small, tender new growth that appears in early spring, but can also appear at other times of the year. The eggs are really tiny, yellow, orange, and almond-shaped. They can be difficult to make out clearly even with the 10x magnifier. The nymphs are also unique looking for their flattened yellow-orange bodies and red eyes. Like aphids and scale insects, they excrete honeydew, but in a unique way by encapsulating the honeydew in waxy tubules. Adult psyllids can feed on mature leaves, allowing them to survive year-round, but the nymphs can only survive on the young, tender leaves and stems. Like other sap-sucking insects, ACP does cause feeding damage, but if this was the only damage it caused, we wouldn't be terribly concerned. As the psyllid feeds, it injects a salivary toxin. This causes the tips of new leaves to break off, and surviving leaves end up with twists and deformations as they grow. The serious damage is caused by a bacterium, Candidatus liberibacter asiaticus, that the psyllids can pick up while feeding on an infested tree or an infected tree, and then transmit to the next tree they feed on. There are 3 types of the bacteria. We have the Asian form, which is heat tolerant, allowing it to develop at temperatures up to 95 degrees. There are also 2 heat-sensitive forms, an African form and an American form. The American form is only found in Brazil, however. The Asian form is unfortunately the most damaging of the 3. The disease caused by this bacteria, Huanglongbing, translates as yellow shoot disease or yellow dragon disease, as it causes the leaves of infected branches to turn yellow. It is not always easy to distinguish the symptoms of HLB from other citrus diseases or nutritional deficiencies. The earliest signs of the disease are leaves with blotchy yellow pattern that is asymmetrical. In addition, if you examine the underside of a leaf, it may have a thickened or corky vein. The symptoms can present differently on different varieties of citrus. Huanglongbing is also called citrus greening disease. As the disease progresses, the lower half of the fruit may remain green. Normally, the color develops from the bottom upward, but with HLB, the color starts at the stem. This is referred to as color inversion. The fruit becomes progressively smaller and grows crookedly, forming uneven segments, and the seeds are aborted. Fruit is still safe to eat, but it becomes bitter tasting. Even worse for commercial growers, the fruit drops prematurely, and once on the ground, it can't be sold. There's another disease in California that looks similar to HLB called citrus stubborn disease. This disease is also caused by a bacteria and is transmitted by an insect, in this case, several types of leafhoppers. Symptoms often appear first in one part of the tree and then spread to the rest of the tree over time. This pattern helps to distinguish HLB from a nutritional deficiency. HLB ultimately kills the tree in as little as 5 years. Older trees typically survive longer than younger ones. Because there is no cure, we want to remove infested trees or infected trees so that they don't become reservoirs of the bacteria, helping to spread the disease. In California, HLB has not yet been found in any commercial groves, but in Florida's commercial groves, the disease is nearly ubiquitous. Citrus production in Florida has fallen over 50%. Besides affecting all kinds of citrus, ACP feeds on many related plants in the citrus family, Rutaceae. Many of these plants can also support the bacteria. Indian curry leaf is one of the psyllid's favorites. Besides being spread by the psyllid, the bacteria can also be spread by grafting infected budwood. In fact, this is how HLB was brought to California, and I'll talk more about that shortly. Now we're going to look at a few maps. Here is an ACP HLB map of the world from 2005. ACP is shown in orange, HLB in green. Both are native to Southern Asia. HLB is not a new disease. It was reported in Southern China in 1919. As you can see from the map, by 2005, HLB has spread throughout Southern Asia. In 1998, the psyllid was discovered in Florida and very quickly spread both by flying and by hitching rides on nursery plants. In 2005, HLB appears in Florida, and within 3 years, it spread throughout most of the citrus growing regions of the state. One plant in particular is credited for the rapid spread of HLB and ACP in Florida. Orange jasmine, a popular landscape plant and a preferred host plant for the psyllid because it produces new leaves continuously. Fortunately, it's not a popular plant in California. So here's an interactive map created by USDA APHIS showing the quarantines. This is the ACP quarantine map. It shows that a total of 15 states and territories are now under full or partial quarantine for ACP. New Mexico is the last state on our southern border to remain free of ACP. 6 states now have HLB. The disease is not spreading as rapidly as the insects, but it does continue to spread in spite of our efforts to contain it. UCANR has created an interactive ACP HLB map for California. The psyllid was first found here in 2008, most likely arriving here from Mexico. The insect is found in northern and central California, but it's fairly rare. Whenever it has been found, eradication efforts have been successful. Not so in Southern California. Here, the climatic conditions are more favorable to the psyllid, and it is now well established here. As you can see from the map, the ACP quarantine now covers all of LA County and all of the surrounding counties. Here's a close-up map showing the areas where HLB has been found. The quarantine now covers parts of 4 counties: Los Angeles, Orange, San Bernardino, and Riverside. The quarantine boundary in San Bernardino was extended just a couple of weeks ago. HLB has not been found in any other parts of California to date. The red star on the map marks Hacienda Heights, where HLB was first detected in California. Citrus enthusiasts brought pomelo cuttings home from China without going through customs and grafted the infected budwood to a backyard tree. The actual tree shown in the picture is in the homeowner's backyard. The next slide is a video showing the CDFA removing that tree in 2012.
This Southern California citrus tree has unfortunately reached the end of its life. It was found to have Huanglongbing, also known as citrus greening, a fatal disease of citrus for which there is no cure. It is spread by a pest called the Asian citrus psyllid.
The symptoms of Huanglongbing are irregularly shaped fruit, off-color fruit, bitter taste, reduction in yield, and finally the Huanglongbing will kill the citrus tree. Older trees take longer to die, younger trees die relatively quickly.
Until 2012, Huanglongbing had not been detected in California. However, this tree at a residence in Los Angeles County was found to have the disease, the first confirmed case of Huanglongbing in California. A CDFA crew, working carefully with the resident, removed the tree limb by limb. The roots were dug up and removed for analysis and disposal. Due to the highly infectious nature of the disease, all of the leaves, branches, and roots were double-bagged and removed from the premises. This will be the protocol for future detections of diseased trees.
It's very important to remove the reservoir of the disease, to take it away so the disease doesn't spread. The disease can spread very easily with the Asian citrus psyllid if the disease is present. But if we remove the disease and we suppress the population of the insect, we can slow the spread of this disease, protect California citrus. This, however, is a short to mid-term solution. For a long-term solution, we need to look to our researchers to find either trees that are resistant to the disease or some more effective control method.
That's a terrific video, but I doubt many people have seen it. We have a new interactive map created for the project that makes it easy to determine if you're close to an HLB detection. We also have a handout shown here that introduces the breeder to ACP HLB and has a QR code at the bottom that can be scanned to get the link to the map. You enter the address you're interested in, and if you are within 5 miles of an HLB detection, you'll see a yellow circle. And if you're within 2 miles, you also see a red circle. It is thought that trees within 2 miles of a detection are likely to be infected with HLB themselves, so we recommend those trees be removed to get ahead of the problem. It's certainly a hard sell, but could help slowly spread the disease. Here I entered the address of the Huntington Library and found it is less than 2 miles from an HLB detection, putting their orange grove well inside the HLB quarantine area. To date, HLB has not been found in any commercial orchards in California, but it is getting very close. Here's a picture of the nearly 150-year-old parent Washington Navel in Riverside. In 2018, it was enclosed in a structure with a fine mesh screen to protect it from the encroaching HLB. Not far from there is the UC Riverside Citrus Variety Collection, a repository of over 1,000 cultivars and species, which is now within 2 miles of an HLB detection. To positively identify HLB as the cause of a tree's symptoms, samples are taken and tested in a laboratory using PCR to detect the bacterium. In the early stages of the disease, false negatives are a problem because it takes 9 months to 2 years for the bacteria to spread throughout the tree, and samples may not have been taken from the infected areas. Florida and now California have trained dogs to detect HLB in recently infected trees. This could be a great way to monitor orchards and catch the disease early on. You can still find citrus in some nurseries operating with the ACP quarantine, and the trees will have one of these quarantine tags attached. The tree can be taken home as long as you don't leave the quarantine area, but then it can't be moved again. Nurseries in the HLB quarantine are either not allowed to sell citrus or must protect it in an approved insect-proof structure. Until recently, it was thought to be safe to move citrus fruit so long as all the leaves and stems had been removed. But still has been found riding on the fruit, so now non-commercial fruit cannot be moved within the HLB quarantine, or out of it, of course. This is a particularly hard sell, telling people not to share their homegrown lemons and oranges with friends and family. Another thing we want to talk to homeowners about is how to handle pruning waste. To avoid spreading ACP and HLB, the cuttings need to be left on the ground to dry for a couple of weeks before putting in the green waste or the compost pile. Alternatively, the fresh cuttings can be double bagged and put in with the regular trash. So when it comes to giving advice about pest control, as master gardeners, we don't make specific recommendations about chemical pesticides. Instead, we should refer to the UC IPM Pest Notes and Quick Tips. At our events, we have Quick Tip cards to give out. We can also talk about the safer organic pest control measures like insecticidal soaps, horticultural oils, and neem oil. These help reduce the psyllid population and pose a lower risk to beneficial insects, some of which are helping to control the psyllids. Beth Graft and Carwell introduced 2 other non-toxic options during a webinar last December. One idea is to enclose a tree in a fine mesh material, excluding the psyllids. One such product, the Tree Defender, was developed by a Florida citrus grower to protect his own orchard and is apparently very effective. Another option is to spray the tree with kaolin clay. This is the same material used to make porcelain, and when spent in water and sprayed on the entire tree, it coats everything in a white powdery film that prevents the insects from feeding. Although it may not be well known to most gardeners, kaolin clay is used commercially on many types of fruit crops. So here's a tiny wasp, Tamarixia radiata, that was imported from Pakistan to help control the psyllid population here. Mark Hodel, a UC Riverside researcher, went to Pakistan to look for the natural enemies of ACP and found 2 wasps that parasitize the psyllid nymphs. The female wasp lays an egg or 2 underneath an ACP nymph. The egg hatches, and developing larva consumes the inside of its host. The larva then pupates, and the adult wasp chews a circular hole in the top of the now dead psyllid nymph, emerging to start the cycle over again. The adult wasp will also mutilate psyllids, causing fluid to leak out of the psyllid that the wasp consumes for protein. This often kills the psyllid as well. Nature can be gruesome. The wasps are being released throughout the Southern California's most heavily affected areas, but it's an expensive operation, each wasp costing nearly 50 cents, and they are expected to only suppress the psyllid population, not eliminate. There's hope they'll slow the spread of HLB. Ant control is critical to psyllid control. Ants farm psyllids for the honeydew and aggressively protect them. The picture on the right shows an ant attacking a Tamarixia wasp, preventing it from laying eggs. So report suspected cases of HLB to the CDFA. If HLB is found, the infected trees must be removed. Okay, that concludes the longest portion of this presentation. So we're going to move on to the second goal of the project, which is to encourage people to consider planting non-citrus fruit trees, especially in or near the HLB quarantine areas. We have a 4-page color brochure that we give out at our events that highlights fruit trees that grow well in our Mediterranean climate. The front page has 2 paragraphs introducing ACP HLB, and then explains how planting other types of fruit can help keep the remaining citrus safe. 6 types of fruits are featured, including some that may be less familiar, like loquats and jujubes. We often offer tastings at the event, which is a great way to introduce these less familiar fruit. Of course, there are many other fruit trees that are great choices for our region. Some of those are listed on the back of the pamphlet. So we can offer advice on things to consider when selecting a tree, such as taking into account a tree's expected mature size when selecting a location, or vice versa, picking a tree that'll fit a location without too much maintenance. The importance of having the right rootstock for size control and disease resistance. Cold hardiness, especially of tropicals such as mango that do better in the mild winter climate near the coast than in the inland areas. And chill hours for temperate fruit trees like peaches and apples. Nurseries sometimes carry varieties that don't produce well in our area because they need too many chill hours. So California Rare Fruit Growers is the largest amateur fruit growing organization in the world. And unlike the name suggests, they have information on all sorts of fruit trees, not just the rare ones. Their website has dozens of fruit fact sheets like this one on jujubes. They also maintain a really helpful list of nurseries in California that specialize in fruit trees. Now this brings us to the third leg of our outreach plan, which is to encourage eating more fruits and vegetables and promoting their health benefits. For this part of the project, we are working with UC A&R nutrition expert, Natalie Price. We have lots of handouts with nutrition facts and recipes from USDA, California Department of Public Health, and other educational sites. The California Public Health puts out information newsletters called Harvest of the Month, like this one on apples, for a variety of fruits and vegetables. They include nutrition facts, a recipe, and tips on how to select and store each fruit or vegetable. In 2010, the USDA introduced the My Plate Food Guide, replacing the earlier food pyramid systems. This new system is visually simple, showing that fruits and vegetables should take up at least half the space on a dinner plate. And we hand out healthy recipes like this salad that combines fruit, vegetables, and nuts. And the USDA guidelines give us 3 good, scientifically valid reasons to eat more fruits and vegetables. They provide nutrients that Americans typically underconsume, such as magnesium, potassium, dietary fiber, and vitamins A, C, and K. Consumption of vegetables and fruit also can reduce the risk of chronic diseases, such as cardiovascular disease, and some may be protective against certain types of cancer. They are also relatively low in calories to help maintain a healthy weight. So these materials are also available in Spanish and Chinese. Here's some more here. Harvest of the Month newsletters are also available in a few other languages. USDA's MyPlate guidelines are available in over 20 languages. Please visit the Alternatives to Citrus website, where you can find more information about the Asian citrus psyllid and Huanglongbing disease. You can also take a look at our Beyond Citrus brochure that features several alternative fruit trees that are well suited to grow in our Mediterranean climate. We also have suggestions and recipes to help you add more fruits and vegetables to your diet as part of a healthy lifestyle. We are currently offering free online workshops where we can meet with your participants using the Zoom video conferencing app and customize this presentation to meet your needs. We'd also like to be part of your community event planning once the COVID-19 stay-at-home order is lifted. At that point, we can offer tabling at fairs or other community educational events, 15 to 30-minute mini workshops that can fit into an existing meeting agenda, or longer, more in-depth 1 to 2 hour workshops. Our programs are offered in partnership with any community organization by our staff and trained UC Master Gardener volunteers in English, Spanish, and Chinese. Please contact me by emailing jcwarner@ucanr.edu to schedule an online workshop or to discuss our participation at an upcoming community event or partnering with you on an in-person workshop. Thank you.